WhatsApp is now adding crypto payments. It's a very, very big deal. And I think a lot of people are going to misunderstand what's happening here. As we know, Facebook, or what is now called Meta, has already launched something called the Novi digital wallet. It's a normal digital wallet that is going to support all types of cryptocurrencies, whether it's their own thing called Diem or it's stablecoins, Bitcoin, or anything else. Novi digital wallet has already been released. They have been pioneering or piloting a new type of corridor between the United States and Guatemala. People can go, they can download the Novi digital wallet. And between the US and Guatemala, they can go ahead and do remittance payments using the Paxos digital dollar or stablecoin. Now, what is really interesting about this specific pilot that they've been running now for a couple of weeks is that there was a lot of friction involved in it. You had to actually go download a brand new app. You had to be onboarded. You had to go ahead, you had to acquire the Paxos digital dollar, and then you had to send it. So quite literally, you're asking people to change their consumer behavior. But now all of a sudden, Meta is going ahead and integrating the Novi digital wallet into WhatsApp. So users in the US, there's a small select group of people who will be able to go ahead and do this. And what's so fascinating about this to me is that you now are going to be able to send money as seamlessly, effortlessly, efficiently, and instantly, and as cheaply as you can information. Hear that again. What the internet did to information, they made it seamless, efficient, effortless, instant, and free to send information. We are now doing to money. Because in a digital world, information and money are the same exact thing. Money is information in the digital world. And so with WhatsApp, if you can text, you now can transact. You're going to simply be able to go into WhatsApp. You're going to be able to hit the little paperclip to add an attachment. There'll be a payment option. You click payment and then bam, you're ready to rock and roll. The beautiful thing about this is that WhatsApp has 2+ billion users around the world. We are talking about one of the largest messaging apps in the entire earth going ahead and now saying we are going to add an integration that will allow people to interact with and transact, to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrencies. They're starting with a stablecoin with that Paxos digital dollar. Eventually, over time, I believe that they will add support for all of these, including Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And so if we can get more adoption of digital wallets via WhatsApp, going ahead and onboarding their 2+ billion users, this ultimately is a net positive and it pushes the entire space forward. I think that people will look at this and say, oh, what is WhatsApp doing here? But I think this is a much, much bigger deal than most people realize. And so if we go ahead and we look at their user growth over time, you can see that they don't just have the 2 billion users, but it has been growing very, very quickly. They 4x that user base in about 7 years or so. And so once you start to think about this, the beauty to me is not only that they are going to integrate it, but it's the ability for people to start to understand money and information can be sent as fast and as cheaply as each other. And on top of that, you don't need to change your consumer behavior. As long as you're in the app, you now can stay there and send money. That's a very, very big deal in my opinion. Joe, what do you think about WhatsApp doing this?
I mean, I think it's pretty big. Like 2 billion people, that means 1 out of 4 people roughly in the world have WhatsApp. So from an interconnected kind of standpoint of access, this is massive. I think it depends on kind of what your belief is in Novi and in WhatsApp controlling this and Meta and so forth from a centralization standpoint. But I think it's big for kind of these payment systems in general, right? Just anywhere that people can get more access to this kind of stuff on a large scale like WhatsApp, I think is important. And maybe this is just a pilot program or a test, but ultimately if it goes well, you have to assume that they'll end up rolling this out to kind of everyone. So whether it's payments across borders or just transacting with people in your local area, I think anything that people can do to accelerate that infrastructure digitally is probably a good thing. And the more people that become accustomed and are associated with crypto and digital payments in general, I think is a good thing for the space in general. But I think ultimately, like people are just going to drive back to the solution of Bitcoin.
John, what do you think?
WhatsApp is massive, right? You can't underestimate that. Foreign countries, I think, use it a lot more than domestically. And I believe that in India and Brazil, they already have the ability to kind of do this with fiat currencies and not using crypto or stable coins. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious why they chose Paxos. I know they're using Coinbase as kind of like a custodian for all of this stuff. So that's a good move for them. One of the most highly respected exchanges, I think, in the world. Especially in the United States. But this pilot program is rolling out in the United States. We're going to see over time what kind of users actually use this product, but they've already onboarded 2 billion people right onto WhatsApp. So we'll see over time who actually uses this product.
The other piece of this that I think is really interesting is that once you start to actually use this, you could quickly see that WhatsApp is not only for peer-to-peer type payments, like me to pay you or you to pay me. All of a sudden, if now I can go to the store and I can pay for things, right? If I can start to actually, what if they add dollars, then they add something like Bitcoin, then all of a sudden they start to add stocks, or they start to add other types of assets. Like, could they actually transform WhatsApp into like a true super app that has both the messaging capabilities with 2+ billion users, and then start to add financial services into it? I don't know, but like that's the type of stuff that I think if you look out 10 years or so, gets really, really powerful, really fast.
You don't have to leave the app to do this.
No, that's the whole point.
That is a key part. I think,
that's what I'm saying. You don't change their user behavior. You basically just hit that little paperclip that's like to add an attachment. And normally when you hit that, you could add a photo, you could add a video, you could add whatever to the message, right? To the stream. Now, when you hit it, there's a payment option if you're in this pilot. And when you just hit payment, it says how much do you want to send, type it in, bam, send it, and it sends them the money across WhatsApp.
They're gonna absolutely crush
I also think,
WhatsApp's about to go wild.
They're about to crush it with this.
I also think that people in the United States underestimate this. Like anywhere you travel around the world, especially in poorer countries or people of less economic standing, they all use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is massive, especially outside of the United States. So maybe people aren't as familiar with it, people that are watching in the United States, because they don't use it on a day-to-day basis. But people in other countries, this is literally what they use all day long, right? So from a payments infrastructure standpoint, I think it's a massive thing for WhatsApp to do. It just comes down to like how quickly do they roll it out, what additional features do they add, and like how quickly does it scale to other people.
Yeah. The piece to me that becomes really interesting is if they could get enough users using it and they could get enough velocity of the money, right? And then they start to integrate other types of financial services outside of just payments, then you start to say to yourself, okay, that's all great from a user experience standpoint. The downside, important to call out the downside, they got a lot of information about you.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And so how is that being used? Now, one thing I did see in I think it was The Verge had a great article on this announcement today, is that the payments don't interrupt or cause any issues with the end-to-end encryption that WhatsApp has. And so you still have that level of privacy. But what about the other information? Are you now all of a sudden going to have ads inside of WhatsApp that you get an ad fed to you based on your payment history plus your Facebook data? Like, and your Instagram browsing history, you know what I mean? Like, you start getting in this like weird world where it's like, okay, like where's the line? We don't know yet, right? And I'll tend to give them the benefit of the doubt to start, because historically WhatsApp has actually been left alone for the most part. Now, the founders did leave WhatsApp, right? And one of them now works on Signal. But I do think that this is a net positive, and ultimately it goes back to, I literally wrote, and I should pull up the receipt, that the most important announcement that Facebook made through all the Diem, Libra, like all that stuff, I kept saying it's the wallet. The wallet is the most important thing. If they hand billions of people a digital wallet, it is game on globally. Here they are. Fast forward a couple of months, now they're giving people these digital wallets. It's going to be game on globally, I think.